announce that we are going to do a Windows 7 upgrade to Windows 10. And no, I'm not in my office. I'm in a different office. It's my office as well, but in a different building. So I'll get this set up. So we're going to go ahead and start the Windows 10 process here. Yes, I know it's all backwards. So basically, we will start the painful upgrade of going over to Windows 10, saying goodbye to Windows 7. Yes, we're going to upgrade this PC. So as you can see here, we are using a Windows to Go media creation disk, as I call it. If it wasn't for a gentleman I met like 3-4 years ago for a big company that he was a partial IT instructor, if it wasn't for him at all, I wouldn't have been using this. I would have gone back to or still use the method of using actual blank or a generic operating system and just starting fresh. But it just kind of this is so much easier than trying to build an image from scratch because I already have this image built the way I want it. All I have to use is a Windows 10 to go software package and it works flawless. I've done at least half a dozen computers within the last 2 months with this program, and it has saved so much money. Because all you have to do with these older computers is reuse the license. If it's a Windows 7 computer, 8 or 8.1, all you have to do is use the license key on there. And if your computer doesn't have a license key sticker, all you have to do is use a program called Magic Jelly Bean. You go online, it's free. There's two versions of it. You can get a paid one. I haven't tried the paid one because unfortunately they require a charge card, and I do not believe in using charge cards. I'd rather, well, eventually I got to build a credit score up, but it doesn't have to be today. So this will, I'm not sure how many parts it'll be, but so what'll happen is we'll go through the initial configuration of this. I'm not going to show the whole thing because it'll take probably half of the night to do that. Wanted to start this earlier this morning, but actually I wanted to do this day after Christmas, but unfortunately work gets in the way. And since I work so many hours a day during the week, in the Saturday evening, you just don't get as far. And when you do have time, you're kind of exhausted and tired, so then you don't really get around to making as many videos as you'd like. And you only do what you have to do. But this has been kind of lingering long enough. So it's something that has to be done. It's not something I want to do. I'd rather just keep using Windows 7, but 2 days from now, to be exact, a day and 3/4, Windows 7 will no longer be functional as a consumer grade version. If I was a volume-wise licensing customer, I could for only an additional $199 per year for only a short limited time. You could use Windows 7 for a little bit longer. But $199 for a computer. So let's say we'll figure this out. So let's say you have 600 computers in an organization, and it costs you $199 per machine. So that'd be about $119,400. Calculation is correct. That's a darn that's the amount of money to spend on upgrading or keeping Windows 7 just for a limited amount of time. Astronomically, it would throw your budget off. You go bankrupt. You're out of business if you went that route. Company-wise, school district-wise, college-wise, no K-12 education system or company has $1 million set aside for that kind of an upgrade, or downgrade rather. But there are people out there that still use Windows 7 yet. I'm kind of one that does. And I probably will keep one or two computers around that are Windows 7. But most likely I won't have it hooked up to the internet anymore. I'll just use it for local purposes only, and local applications that don't require the internet, like a Cisco switch or a D-Link switch, or using it as a music computer. That's probably what I would do, but in a way, Windows 7 did have a long run, in my opinion. But I originally had the plan of making a video of the last 5 minutes of Windows 7 being supported, but I'm sure there's a lot of other videos that are going to be released of Windows 7, the last few minutes of support or existence of working as a normal operating system. I'm sure there will be a lot of videos out there on that. So on that note, I'm probably not going to have the time either. I'll be working second shift. So it's unfortunate that they're going to pull the plug on it, but I guess you just got to move forward and buck up and deal with it. It's the kind of thing that you don't want to do, but you have no other choice in the matter. Either that or you become a Mac user or a Linux user, or as some call you, a Linux junkie. Or you could just stop using computers altogether. That's another option too. But I don't think most people are going to just pull the plug out of the wall and just put a sheet over it and say to hell with it. But it's up to the individual what they want to do. I can't really decide for you what you're gonna do. That's up to you how you want to handle an upgrade. If you want to move with the times, great. If not, there are a few other alternatives. If you want to stick with Windows and you really hate 10, you could go to 8.1 for another 2 years, yeah, or 3 years. I think it's 2023 when they're going to pull the plug on that. So you do have time that you could go to it, even though you're probably going to hate it. But there are alternatives to the start menu. You can disable the start menu and put a regular classic shell start menu, and that's not a problem. It's just a matter of getting the right configuration and stuff. But there's other things to think about. With Windows 10, as long as you'll be fine. All I would recommend doing for your internet browser is download Brave and the Tor browser. Once you get the Tor and the Brave browser, you'll be good to go. You don't have to worry about hackers trying to steal your information with the Tor browser. You don't have to worry about the government NSA. You still do, but a lot of that stuff, it makes it harder for them to track you down. It makes it harder for Amazon to sell your information. It makes it harder for Google to get a certain algorithm pattern going with you. And even YouTube, it kind of puts a damper on some of the stuff they're trying to do. So there are perks to using it. It's not perfect, but then again, nothing really is. Every web browser has its quirk. Every mainstream device has their quirks. So I'm not going to say that it doesn't, because if I did, I'd be lying. So it's kind of an interesting controversy. On both ends. But the upside of the Tor browser is that you can go in the dark web. You can go in the deep dark web with just a few various configurations and VPNs. And if you really want ultimate privacy, like I said in an earlier stream, all you'd have to do is get NordVPN. And no, they don't sponsor me or anything. I just being as honest to no fault as I can be. It works. It's one of the best ones out there in my honest opinion. I can't complain. And I can't really complain about the Tor browser or the Brave browser because they just simply work. A lot of stuff works well with it. The only things that do not work with it is Gabriel software, but that's only for a parish related, or a lot of your churches use it. Like if you're in a Catholic diocese, you would use a system like that. And unfortunately, you'd have to use Google Chrome for that, but I don't know. Chrome has just been unfaithful to me. So that's why I highly recommend the Tor browser and Brave. And one upside to Windows 10 is you don't have to worry about setting printers up because with 10 it usually hunts and automatically finds the best drivers available. So that's an upside to it. And even if you're going to set your email up, let's say that you have like an account through like Comcast or Spectrum or MercuryNet, which is MercuryNet's only available in Wisconsin and Michigan. Or if you're using TDS or AT&T, all you'd have to do is there's an option that you just put it in the display name of your account the email address of the account, the password, and it pretty much goes from there. So I can't complain about that. It works pretty well. And even if you have Gmail accounts, you can punch those in. Microsoft accounts, you can punch those right in. Yahoo, iCloud, which is Apple. And even if you have an email from your organization or your place of work, there's a few different things you have to punch in, but as long as you've got the right port addresses and port numbers and server address and the correct email address, it all works. It's when you don't have the right stuff that doesn't work. So that's one upside. Another upside of 10 is your plug and play drivers are a little more reliable than 7. You plug HDMI in and it automatically configures the size of the screen and what resolution fits best. Not every monitor does, but usually your typical older monitors that are around like the 2007 to 2014 bracket, sometimes it doesn't fit the screen perfectly, but then again, it works. The technology is simple. You can program it to either that you have to manually do it or just put it on auto, and it'll go through the process. Even for VGA, it will do that, but I find myself using more HDMI on the laptop than I do VGA because most of the computers I have now have VGA on them, but they also have the HDMI, so I find myself using HDMI a little bit more. So, I know if you have an Apple computer, then it would be the Thunderbolt display. And if you're fortunate enough to have an EliteBook from, or just an EliteBook or a Latitude period, if you're in a business setting, you also have the option of a docking station. And there's a plug on the bottom of your computer that you would use, that you set it in the base, and you can use that as an option. I do have a docking station for it. Actually, I got 2 docking stations from EliteBooks. One I bought from my friend. It was like $30. And then the other one I found at the St. Vincent de Paul for like 5 or 10. But that one doesn't have as big of a power supply. That's only like 100 and some watt compared to the one I got from my friend. The one I got from the friend was, I'd say it's about 230. It was like a power supply is the size of one I should get it all in one computer. So that was worth that. Some of those power supplies alone are like $80. So I knew I got a good deal on it. But unfortunately, the laptop I bought it for, it doesn't really work anymore. And I was just kind of a shame. It's kind of a shame because I bought an SSD for it. And then it has 12 gigs of RAM. But I'm thinking the memory, one stick was a 12800 and the other one was a 10600, I think. Something like that. And I'm thinking that's what destroyed it. So that's unfortunate. But since I don't have connections to where I got those computers anymore, I can't exactly get myself another Intel Core or 15-inch screen with numeric keypad and the Core i7. That's kind of a shame. So we got past the first phase of the program. So now we're gonna do the update version of the phase. Maybe this won't take as long as I anticipated, but if it does, that's okay. While we're waiting on that, I'll get my hard drive out and start getting this other machine backed up here. It's actually warmer in this office than it is over in my main office. But then again, at least I got a thermostat here, and I can manipulate the heat to however warm I want it. There, I do not have the option to do that. Then again, I'm restricted to one room. I don't get access to the upstairs or back half of the basement or the back of the building or the other room even. So basically, the exciting thing this week will be that they're going to finally tear up the street in front and put a new soil pipe in. I've been waiting so long for this. I've been without running water in that building since August 1st. And it's first January 12th. That's a pretty darn long time to be without water. Okay, got that going. So now we're going through the making sure you're ready to install portion of it. So I would actually like to get a new computer for here. Excellent. So Windows 10 Pro. So now we're getting ready to finally move forward. Previous computer that was up here was this is, if I didn't tell you already, this is a HP Compact Pro, or it's an HP Compact Elite 8300 with a Core i5 3rd Gen Intel processor. Has a terabyte hard drive in there. It came like that when I bought it. There's only like And my most favorite thing about it, actually two most favorite things. Now I'll make that three most favorite things. When I saw this computer, it had the SD card reader, compact flash XD micro SD Pro, and the fifth USB port. So I use that all the time for viewing game cameras and security footage. That's kind of why I kind of didn't fall in love with it, but I just kind of I just felt I was fulfilled when I found that PC. And then it has USB 3.0 ports on the back. And if I gotta hook a hard drive up to it or flash drives, I purposely use the USB 3.0 ports on the back, and it works beautiful. Sure, it's only a 2013 PC, but it was an upgrade from the last one. And it had 8 gigs of RAM when I got it, so I increased it up to 12 gigs. I believe this PC can support up to 32 gigs, if not definitely 16. But the real unbelievable thing about this model of PC, when I bought three of those computers for only $60 a piece. That was probably about 2 years ago. Two of them I got sitting at home. And this one I brought here. Even though this is in my office, but I kind of took over it. So, interesting story was this was originally started out as a deacon's office. He died. So it sat vacant for a while. Well, kind of the interesting thing was the desk I sit at, and the way it's laid out, it hasn't been. Nothing has been done with it since 2004. It was set up like this, and it hasn't been touched or moved. Okay, it's been touched, but it hasn't. The configuration of the room has not changed since 2004. The deacon unfortunately actually passed away, head down on the desk, and he had a heart attack. Well, we all took it very hard when he passed away. But God basically decided that he completed everything on earth that he needed to do. So, and then for a while, there's a religious ed coordinator that occupied this office, but after a while, he kind of stopped using it. And then it sat vacant for a little while, and then I just kind of arbitrarily took over for the maintenance, and I've been using it ever since. So we'll get back to the story on all the computers I've had up here. Well, originally, when I first got started here, that was back in 2013. I was still in, I think that was high school at the time. A Windows XP computer it was a Gateway 2000 P590. Right? No, I think it was a P6. I think it was a P590. But sadly, with that computer, the original monitor was gone. The original mouse is gone. It had a Pentium Pro processor, which I was kind of. There were not many of those floating around. Well, actually, hardly any gateways are floating around. They either got scrapped out or they went to the e-waste, or people were hanging on to them. I like the computer. I thought it was a cool looking case for the time, but unfortunately I was going to save it, but somebody threw it out on me before I even had a chance to actually take it and use it for something else. So that was unfortunate. And then there was another computer I brought up that was a favorite of mine. It was a MPC, not talking Milwaukee PC, custom built computers. I'm talking the company that bought out Omnitech from Pewaukee, Wisconsin. MPC was from Nevada, or no, I think it was Idaho. It was called, originally it was Micron Personal Computers. And that was a Client Pro 365. It was a big tower, but it actually had a lot of cool. The motherboard had a lot of interesting options that you could do with it. You had a lot of SATA, you had IDE, you also had PCI, PCIe, PCIe-X. That thing was actually ahead of the time as far as computers. It had a top-notch Pentium Pro processor or Pentium 4 processor with hyper-threading. So it was kind of a Cadillac of computers for 2006. But when you go online and you try to look half those models up, there's no information available for that system. There's some, but the records aren't as good as it would be for HP or Dell computers or Acer or Asus. That was unfortunate, but like most of them got e-wasted. And I don't even have that one anymore. Unfortunately, it died on me probably about 3 years ago. Fired it up, I was going to do something with it, and all of a sudden, just kind of the smoke started pouring out of it, and I was like, oh, great. A good vintage computer down the drain. And I was just like, oh. I was going to save the case, but then again, I didn't get to it fast enough before somebody else got to it, so. And then once that one died, then I had another MPC Client Pro 375, which was an upgraded. It was a 2007 model, I think. No, maybe it was a 2006. But that one also had hyper-threading capabilities. That one had 2 gigs of RAM compared to 1.5 gigs. And actually, it wasn't really that slow for a computer. I still have one Client Pro 375 left, and it works beautifully. So I can't complain. It just crossed my fingers as lasts for a long time yet, but it is something that you're not going to find every day, more or less. But then I took that one home, and currently using that in my basement as a Windows XP music computer. So then I brought an HP Compact Pro 6000 with a Intel Core Dual 2 with 8 gigs of RAM. That was a slow computer, but I kind of liked it because I kind of grew up with those. The case design is no different than like a compact HP Compact Pro 62 or 6300 or 6305. It's pretty much a generic looking case, but they worked beautifully. And it was pretty much a workhorse of a computer. And if I wanted to make it even or faster, I could have probably put 16 gigs of DDR3, 10600 memory. I don't think it could handle 12800 modules. Maybe I'm mistaken here, but I could have sworn I had 10600, which is a little bit slower, but for a computer like that, I don't think it would have been able to. And I didn't want to mix and match memory either. It was like $30, $40 by the time I got done with the modules. I think I only, what I ended up, it originally only came with two, so I bought 2 gig configuration. So I bought about 6 gigs of 2 gig DDR3 memory to increase it to 8. And then if I wanted to make the hard drive make it load even faster, I should have just bought a cheap SSD, throw it in there, and that would have made a world of difference. But I didn't do that at the time because I didn't know how long I was going to keep it. Originally started out at my house, then I brought it here, used it for maybe a year or two, then bought a teacher at one of the local technical colleges I knew. He gave me the deal of a lifetime on a HP Compact Pro 6200 with a Core i5 second gen processor. That one he only had 4 gigs, but he threw in another another 4 gigs and increased it to 8. Threw in this exact monitor sitting here, or the HP Elite One I, or the Elite Display E190i monitor, which is a DisplayPort monitor, and a keyboard and mouse. So it's probably not a monitor that would have came specifically with this machine in an optional, but at least the keyboard and mouse are pretty much appropriate with that time era. It's not just some generic keyboard and some generic mouse. And then the speakers I brought here, I've had several pairs of them. One was an Inblet or Intel and something. They were okay. I used those for with the original HP Compact, and then I brought these Gateway speakers up. Basically, in a way, they're LabTech speakers, just Gateway name on them. Yeah, they're all right. And I was at the thrift store. I found these Altec Lensing speakers with a huge subwoofer, and I've been using those ever since. They're far more superior than these Gateway speakers. So once you go to something nice like that, and you go back to El Cheapo 2 speakers, you get kind of spoiled. And then I got this computer fell into the equation about 2 years ago, and it's been here ever since. Which I'm actually looking. I was trying to get a hold of the technical college that I bought computers from, but they don't return my calls. They don't answer emails. Apparently, they don't want to sell any computers to me, so that's too bad because I was willing to wheel and deal. They had some HP Elite desks, either the 4 or 800. I don't even remember what models. They're the 800 series. Huh. Computer seems to have locked out. No, guess not. So basically, and I wanted to buy some or fourth. I had my when I went to the computer sale when I bought these. It's basically a big drawing. You get there at a certain time, and then what you have to do is you take a number, and then if you get called first, you get the pick of the thing. Well, the interesting thing is when they do the certain drawing, if you show up last, you get first pick. You show up first, you get last pick. I don't know why they do it that way. Well, the first time I did the drawing, I would show up last, and then I got the first pick. But then the second year around, I showed up early, and then I got the last pick. So what I did was when I went to the drawings, I looked around to see what they had available. And unfortunately, there's a bunch of stuff I wanted to buy, but finances kind of got in the way, and I wanted to buy every model, at least one or two, just to kind of have sitting around in case I decide to ever do something with each and every individual model. But life happens, and I would have had to find a place to store all that stuff. So it's interesting, but first 2 years I went, they had a lot of great stuff, but the last year I went, I think that was either 2018. Yeah, I think that was 2018. All they had were these HP compact or HP Pro 8300s with terabyte drives, and then they had HP EliteBook or EliteBooks or compact Elites 8460Ps. They only had like 4 gigs of RAM in them. Core and second Intel Gen i5 core processors. And I got so many of those. I thought, yeah, I'm not going to take my chance on those. What I was after was the 8470Ps. And I had one for about a week and then I sold it to a lady. And I was thinking, you dummy, you could have sold her one of your older ones that was only like a year older. But I was I needed to make some quick money, so that's kind of regrettably I could kind of kick myself because I kind of made a hasty decision there. So what? Well, so well, even when I went to the last drawing, I should have took first dibs on the 8470 because that's what went first. No, I was probably about the only person that bought any of the desktop computers because everybody wanted laptops, everybody wanted tablets. They don't want towers. Well, there's a few of us out there that do. But that was actually, but unfortunately, I don't know if the school didn't do it this year or what the verdict was. Because I would have been there and I would have brought money. And I was ready to spend money for some different computers. call another technical college and see if they're willing to let me buy anything. My rule of thumb is I like to have them for a while, use them, and then when I sell them, I can be as honest and upfront with people and actually tell them what it actually does and not just pretend to know and not really know. So it's just like it's exciting buying computers. They don't even have to be HPs. They could have been Dells or they could have been Lenovo's. Any brand, any model. What's really cool is if you go rummaging. Oh crap! My upgrade failed. What the hell could have happened? Well, that's not good. That didn't quite go planned.